Check out how you can upgrade your gaming setup with light projectors, LEDs, and other accessories by using the links below. Hello and welcome to the Wilderness Greater Nechryael Slayer Guide. Please note that there are timestamps below for your convenience. To start off, there are a few things that you should know. The first thing is that this is definitely a PK hotspot because this is a high-level Slayer monster with good loot, so you can expect PKers to be on the hunt for players who might be doing Slayer. The next thing is that this is in level 24 Wilderness, so having a one-click teleport like a Royal Seed Pod is really beneficial, and something like a teleport tab to home will not work because it's over level 20. And lastly, since Nechryaels drop so much loot and there's going to be so much stuff on the ground, I want you guys to highlight Laren's keys if you're using Runelight in the ground items plugin. This will ensure that you don't lose them in the pile of loot, as they are very valuable and easy to miss. Now, it's worth noting that there are two viable ways to kill these. I strongly recommend using Ice Burst or Ice Barrage if you have that unlocked, but if you don't, I will also be showing how to kill them with melee and a cannon. So first, I'm going to go over how to kill these Nechryaels with magic. First, let's go over inventory. The first thing you'll want is a Royal Seed Pod, as I mentioned, or some form of teleport that you can hopefully use quickly if you don't have a Royal Seed Pod. Next, you'll want a cannon. You'll see later on why this cannon is so beneficial. Basically, this is replacing darts that people normally use when killing Nechryaels. You're just going to use it to gather up the Nechryaels, but it's a very convenient and fast way to do it. So it's worth noting that this could also be replaced with something like Mithril darts, but again, this is highly convenient and what I recommend. Next, you're going to have your runes. I used Ice Burst, and this is an approximate amount of runes that will get you a full looting bag. You can bring more or less depending on what you prefer. Next, we have 4 super restores. This is not a hard number. You can use more or less of these if you want. Next, we have 2 Ceradomin brews. Again, you can use more or less of these if you want. This is just for combo eating if a PKer attacks you and you want to try to escape. Next, we have a looting bag. This should be pretty obvious. You want a looting bag. Next, we have a burning amulet. This is how we're going to get to the Nechryaels. And then from there, you just want to fill your inventory with good food. And lastly, it's worth noting that you could also bring an explorer's ring if you want to try to extend your trips while out here. Especially if you have an explorer's ring 4, you can do some high alks on the more valuable drops. And again, extend your trips a little bit. Now we're going to talk about armor if you're going to be using magic. So you definitely want an imbued Slayer helm. If you don't have one, this is a perfect opportunity to get one, because this will of course speed up your task tremendously. Next, in the cape slot, you can bring something like an RD cloak if you want prayer bonus, or you can bring a god cape like I'm wearing. It's worth noting that if you bring an imbued god cape and you die in over level 20 Wilderness, you will lose it. Next, we have an occult necklace. This could be replaced with a glory if you want. Next, we have a blessing. This just gives prayer bonus if you aren't aware. Next, we have an ancient staff. I don't think you can really replace this with anything, nor should you. You don't really want an expensive replacement like a Kodai wand. Next, we have proselyte torso and legs. It doesn't really matter if you lose on magic attack bonus because Nechryaels have very negligible defensive stats. Next is a Book of Darkness. This is just because we want more magic bonus and prayer bonus, and we don't want to be risking more than we need to in the wilderness. Next is a Bracelet of Slaughter. This is optional. As I mentioned earlier, this is a PK hotspot, but it's still a very good task. You're still killing Nechryaels at the end of the day. If you want those keys, you want good loot. Of course, killing Nechryaels is a great way to do that. It's also a good magic experience. If you don't want to wear a Bracelet of Slaughter, you could replace this with something like Rune Gloves or Combat Bracelet, just something of low value that will give you maybe defensive stats as well as magic attack bonus. Next is Mystic Boots. So these aren't a necessity, but they're very cheap and they give magic attack bonus. And lastly is a Ring of Wealth. The reason we use a Ring of Wealth is because Nechryaels do drop coins from time to time, and we can also use this as a teleport out, especially if we don't have an Amulet of Glory. And once again, we don't want to be risking something like a Seer's Ring if we die and we don't have Protect item on. Next, we're going to be talking about the melee inventory. So first things first, you do want a teleport out. I use a Royal Seed Pod. Next is going to be a cannon and cannonballs. This is a different number than the magic one because we're going to be utilizing the cannon a lot more while using melee. We have 1500 cannonballs. You can do more or less, but that's the number I decided on. Next is combat potions. You can replace these with divine combat potions, which is totally fine because they drop so much food. That would be totally fine, but I just use regular combat potions. Next is 4 super restores and 2 Ceridome brews. Once again, these numbers can be varied to your liking if you want more or less of those. Next is Alk runes. You can replace these with an explorer's ring if you have it. Next is a looting bag. This doesn't need much explanation. Next is a burning amulet. Again, that's how we're going to be getting there. Lastly is an optional stamina potion. You definitely don't need it. I'm over 70 agility, for example, and I didn't need it, but it is optional. And then you just want to fill your inventory with good food after that. Next, we're going to move on to melee armor. So the first thing is a Slayer's helm. That should go without saying. Next, I'm using a mythical cape. If you don't have a mythical cape, you can replace this with something like an arty cloak. But the mythical cape gives strength bonus and prayer bonus. Next, I'm using an amulet of glory. I recommend this be charged, especially if you don't have a royal seed pod. Next is a blessing for the prayer bonus. Then we have a whip. So you can use any weapon you want. Nechryaels don't have any specific weakness, so whatever melee weapon you want is totally fine. Next we have initiate, torso and legs. We just want maximum prayer bonus. Then we have an unholy book. This is just for more attack bonus and prayer bonus. Next we have rune gloves. We don't want to be risking too much by bringing something like dragon or barrow's gloves, in my opinion. Like I said, it's definitely a PK hotspot. So there's a decent chance you're going to die, so I personally don't want to bring 4 items of value. Next are climbing boots. I don't really see anything you could replace these with. And then lastly, a berserker ring. So I only have 3 valuable items, and berserker ring, whip, and slayer helm. That's what my valuable items are. Next, I'm going to talk about how to kill these Nechryaels. So first we're going to talk about how to use your cannon and magic to kill the Nechryaels. So the strategy itself is very simple, but it did take me a while to come up with this, so hopefully you guys find this valuable. Basically, you want to fire your cannon in the middle of the room, and you're going to stack up the Nechryaels on the west side of the room. Just doing the really standard stacking method that people always use for Nechryaels. It's also worth noting that you want to turn off auto retaliate, and you also want to turn off left click NPC attack. And by doing this, it makes stacking way easier. It's also worth noting that since you're going to be on ancients while doing this, you can't alch stuff. So again, if you have an explorer's ring, that might be a good thing to bring. Another thing worth noting is that you don't have to bring a cannon. You can replace the cannon with darts, as I mentioned earlier, but again, it's just worth reiterating. And lastly, as I already said, you want to stick to the west wall. There's a very specific spot that is very good for stacking up the Nechryaels. Next, I'm going to talk about killing the Nechryaels with a cannon in melee. So it's pretty simple. You simply want to stand in the middle of the room near your cannon and keep protect from melee on. Another thing worth noting is especially if you're using rune light, you don't want to forget that you can use double hit cannon spots where you get the cannon hitting one Nechryael multiple times. And lastly, if you accumulate enough money to where you start feeling uncomfortable and it would suck to die, just go ahead and bank. I don't want you guys dying and commenting on my videos like, man, I lost 500k because of your stupid guide. Just as soon as you get enough loot to where you really don't want to die, maybe 350k or 500k, whatever it comes out to, just go ahead and bank. It's not worth dying and losing all that loot. And like I said multiple times by now, this is definitely a PK hotspot. So now I'm going to give some miscellaneous tips. While making this video, I actually did die, and I learned a few things that I want to share with you guys. So if you get attacked by multiple people, I want you to turn off auto retaliate or just turn off ice burst or ice barrage, whatever, because you will skull if you get attacked by multiple people and they're good, they're smart PKers. They'll wait for you to auto retaliate with your multi-target attack, and you may get skulled. I lost an occult necklace while making this video because of this. Next is to have protect item as a quick pray. So I just turn on protect from magic and protect item as my quick prayers. And if you get attacked or you see a PKer, obviously teleport if you have time, but if you get teleblocked, immediately turn on quick prayers and don't take off protect item. Next, I'm going to give another reminder to highlight Laren's keys because it's very easy to lose these in the pile of loot. And lastly, while looting, this is actually a very important tip. What I want you guys to do is to first loot the valuable items and put them in your looting bag. And then close it and then fill up your food because you are going to be taking damage from the little minions. So I want you to remember this order. You keep your bag open after you kill all the Nechryaels, and then you loot all the items, and then you close your looting bag and you fill up your food and eat whatever's necessary. So that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for making the videos better. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Check out the easiest way to upgrade your gaming setup with LEDs by using the links in the description below.